So I was in Edmonton, known as one of the crazy bitches. To a few people, didn't know that at that time, that was the coin that had come with me and my best friends. We had a hoot and a holler, and that was in the days that I was drinking and doing my sobriety. And yeah, I hung out with these wild women, and we would just get ruckus all over Edmonton. One night we went down to a bar. This random someone wanted to take their sister out. She wanted to go to this hoochie bar kind of thing. So we were like, yeah, we'll take you out. Fucking go on the town, girlie. Let's check this out. And we went down into this like fucking totally hooch club. It was hilarious. It was just like and like all these chicks with like big titties and tons of makeup, and then us all dirty and scrubby with this one chick's sister who wanted to go there. And at one point it was pretty quiet, and so I think there was some karaoke or something, and so we were doing that and just getting shit-faced and having a time, and these chicks were kind of looking at us funny with these heels and kind of like, yeah, we were just like, whatever, woo, we're taking fucking the buddy's sister on the town, woo, getting loaded, woo, and then we were dancing, we were being ridiculous, grinding, just being total goofballs, total ridiculous, just ridiculous. And these chicks took it as like a kind of like a dance off, like, you know, and that we were like putting the moves on their boys or something, like, you know, and so they came out and they started getting down and like, and it was just like, woo! And then the DJ was like, oh, I think we got ourselves a dance off, and then he threw out that he had a limo ride, and that you know, whoever danced the best, whoever fucking boom put it out there, like fucking they went a limo ride back to the bar on another evening. So these ladies are giving it in their heels and all their nice tight stuff, and we've got our like ripped jeans, and my buddy had dreadlocks and lots of piercings and tattoos, and I don't even know what my hair looked like at that point. Probably multiple colors and shaved in chunks, which was the style for a while. And we gave it fucking our all. We fucking put our back into it. We fucking laid it out. And it was just awesome. It was fucking hilarious. And we won the limo ride. So then one night we filled up a limo and yelled at everybody that we were in a limo because it wasn't obvious that we were in a limo, but we were. It was a great limo. Went back to this ridiculous bar for a period of time and then left again because really we didn't need to be there to have a good time. But we came and we rocked the place a bit. We gave them their limo worth. And then yeah, so those were those days, and I was working at Value Village, trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing with my life. And the one day I was in work, and I went out and I called my cousin, and I was like, "Hey, graduate soon." And she was like, "Yeah, in 4 days." And I was like, "Sweet." I was like, "I think I'll be there." And she was like, "Oh, cool. Well, that would be amazing, like, if you came." And I was like, yeah, I think so. So a couple days went by. I packed up all of my stuff. I put it in boxes, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm heading out. And I went to work again, and I was there, and I asked my supervisor, I was like, what would happen if I just left? And she's like, oh, Naomi, you can't do that, blah, 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 you know, and we need you, this and that. And I was like, okay. And then she went on break. So for that supervisor, pardon me, I'm so sorry, you were very sweet and amazing. And I just left. And then I proceeded to leave the next morning, and I made a 13-hour hitch in 13 and a half hours. Finished with me and my dog, and finished with a nice sit by the lake, little meditation for about 20 minutes of that. I was only on the road for 5 minutes each time, just like boom, 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 boom. And then I showed up at the high school, and I'd been banned from the high school from right before when I was gifted the rainbow moo-moo. I kind of made a scene and had been banned from the high school since then, which I wasn't going to the high school. I was just coming to visit my cousin and whatnot and bring some posters. I wanted to make posters because I wanted to change the world, grow all ways. And that was the plan. Had to do some posters in schools and this and that. So I'd been banned from the school. So I showed up. My cousin was graduating. I arrived 4 people before she received a diploma. So that was pretty awesome. So I walked in with my dog and lighting my lighter. And like, woo, good job, fucking graduated before I did. Yeah. The principal glaring at me. So I left before everybody broke up, moved in the crowd, headed out. And then, went along on my way. And was hanging out. Was thinking I wasn't going to be there very long. I was used to being called Serge at that stage, and I didn't really want to be known as Naomi. And it was really weird being back in the valley, and absolutely everybody in the village knows who the fuck you are, because I'm literally from not even a village. And the closest place is the village where my grandma lives. And so it was just really tripped out. I was really uncomfortable. I didn't really want to be there, but I was happy to be there to see my cousin and be there for a moment for her. And my plan was just to leave. I was just coming for that, and then I was going to go back and this and that. And I ran into a buddy of mine who used to be my neighbor when we were little kids. And I went over to her house one day when I was 3. And I have a memory of wearing this little red and white checkered dress with little birds on it, and I was eating a purple popsicle, and I wasn't allowed in the house because I get popsicle on the furniture, that kind of thing. I don't remember asking to go to her house, but I remember being outside eating the popsicle beforehand, and I remember my dress really, really clearly. Then my next memory I have is coming home with my hands on my head, and it's like a black vignette of a memory of seeing myself running as this little blonde-haired girl and holding my head. And my translation of it was that I'd gotten hit over the head with a rifle. And I remember afterwards her mom showing me pictures of him and the rifle and asking me if I could testify in court, if I could remember what he did, this and that. And then I remember, not so much from that, but from my childhood, just stories of my dad going around the valley trying to find this man. And that he was glad he never found him, because he was going around with a baseball bat at that time for 2 weeks looking for this fellow that was supposedly still in the valley, and he'd go check the cemeteries and looking for his cigarette light. Was what he figured he could do. And he said he was glad he never found him because he would have killed him. And so that was a narrative that was known in the house when I was a kid, that something had happened. So he's back in the valley visiting with that friend. And over the years I had come across lots of counseling, lots of things like that, trying to sort out like what had gone on that day, things like that. I have a strange memory of like watching a doctor's appointment on the TV at my grandma's house, but whether or not that was actually like a documentary about why kids can't testify in court, but it was this.
Doors closing. Please stand clear.
Yeah, like an official doctor's why children, under a certain age can't testify in court. Because they can't be trusted, and just things like this, and the way the memory works at that stage, or psychology, things like that. So my memory of that is sitting on a couch at my grandma's house watching a doctor's appointment happen with a girl who suspiciously looked like I did at that stage. So any which way, I'm sitting with this woman that she was my neighbor, and I went over to her house that day. And we just proceeded to get loaded down by the river and talk about all things we'd come across over the years, and just all the different counseling appointments and things that had been remembered and things that had been said.
The next station is Buranda.
Things like that. And then just got really, really inebriated and kind of freaked out. And went to go get some more beer, because that's what you do when you need more beer. You need more beer. And so when she was banned from the liquor store at that time, And my mother was banned from the bar, but at that stage I wasn't yet, so that was fine. And I went to go get us alcohol, and I went in with my dog, and they told me that I couldn't have my dog in the liquor store, and I explained that, well, like any other liquor store, there's no food, so yes, dogs are allowed, but whatever, I'll put her outside, it's fine. And this gentleman proceeded to tell me that we weren't in my country, go back to where you came from, and I'm from there. Everybody in the valley knows who I am. And so I got a little upset, and I proceeded to tell him off, because I was like, who the fuck are you? If you don't know who I am, then, like, you're obviously not from here. Like, honestly, the only fucking queer woman in this fucking village, you know? Like, yeah. So, then took my dog outside, and came back in to get my beer, and then she wouldn't serve me for arguing and whatnot, and I was mad, and I was just like, what the fuck, you serve him, you won't serve me, he started it, like, what the and then, yeah, she got stupid, I went outside, and she told me to take it outside, so I did, went outside and waited for him, and proceeded to assault an elderly man to a certain extent, yelled in his face, pushed him around, asked him where he was from. Obviously, he's not from there. He said he was. And I spit in his face and called him on to punch me. He wouldn't. And then I kicked his truck door in and caused $350 damages to his vehicle and took off. And I came around the corner, and my buddy was like, where's the beer? And I was like, we gotta go. So we hopped on our skateboards and took off. I went back to my grandma's, and I explained to her what was going on, and she was like, oh, I think we should go to bed now. Maybe we should go home. And I was like, yeah, I think so. I think I'm just going to go to bed too. And but then that night, I had a dream, and I was little, and I was wearing that dress, and I was in my buddy's house, and yeah, it was just really fucked up. I was trying to get away, and I couldn't get away because someone was inside of me, essentially, and I couldn't get away. So I woke up, and I felt really, really fucked, and I was crying, and I just felt really, really not okay. And so I went out, and I was like, a boot, anybody need a boot? Fucking this fair was in town at that time, and had offered to one dude had said they were getting paid and get us all drunk kind of thing. So I went looking for those guys, couldn't find them. But I found other people and proceeded to get loaded at the river. And then they brought down a buddy to cool him off because the fair guys had gotten paid and got loaded and proceeded to hit on me and the woman that I was hitting on. And then she just got stupid. And that's another story. So assaulted another man and was assaulted by the police and charged for biting a cop and this and that, assault with a weapon, things like this. And yeah, that was pretty fucked up. So came out of the holding cell in the morning, been menstruating on myself. They didn't have any pads for me, that kind of thing. Went right to the doctor, got checked out with x-rays, but everything that showed up on an x-ray didn't. It was all cartilage damage, so even though I was in a lot of pain, there was nothing that showed up on any x-rays. And as soon as I mentioned that it was an assault with the police officer and that I possibly was going to be following up the brutality case, then everything just got really messy on the doctor's notes. So I got back to my grams, and she was really shocked because my lip was split and I had all these bruising on my neck, and I was in a lot of pain in my jaw and my rib cage, and yeah, things just hurt. Things hurt, bruising all over kind of thing. So she took a lot of photos and began the process of filing a brutality case. And I just felt messed up. And it's not what I wanted. I wasn't expecting to be stuck in my hometown. And yeah, and then the next day, I really slept, went out. That evening I had a dream while I was in the holding cell that Quist and I were on the outside of a metal bridge, and there was a big drop to the water, or at least it looked like a big drop to the water, and there was lots of cars racing by, and we were walking on about a foot with no fencing on the outside of the fence. And at one point she pulled back on the leash and she sat down, and I was like, no, of course, we gotta keep going. We gotta go. And then she just turned and reached her paws out and she touched the water with her paws. And when I woke up, I just took that as, everything's gonna be okay. The water's right there. And so, yeah. So then I ran into these girls because the valley floods with fruit pickers, and so there was some fruit pickers, and they were talking about Raging Girl Love up the mountain in Nelson, and they were heading up there, and it starts tomorrow, and going to meet a friend on their beautiful acreage up in the middle of nowhere. And so we've had them over, and we all crashed in the back room, and in the morning, one of them was meditating in the front yard, and they were from Vancouver, so they'd never experienced him. So when I was walking down the street, I was like, oh yeah, just up this way, you'll see this fella sitting here drinking beer, and we walk up, and there he is, and, and they just were super tripped out. They were like walking right down the middle of the street in the middle of the day, and absolutely everybody is where I say they're going to be. And then in the morning, one of them was like meditating in the garden, because my grandma's got beautiful amounts of flowers that she does every year, and she came to the other woman like eating a peach with like juices running down her face, and she was like, you have to try this peach. So they're tree ripe from my grandma's yard, and they're just exceptional peaches. And so then we proceeded to head out, and we went up into Nelson to go to this Raging Girl Love Festival, which was like 7 of us. We did ceremony up in the mountains in Nelson, about a 4-hour walk up the mountain. And then I proceeded to stay on for a couple of weeks and hang out with the girl at the property. And while I was talking to one of the days, I walked down the mountain, and I went, because my chest was really hurting, and I went to the emergency room, and again, same, nothing on x-rays. As soon as I mention that it's police, then there's just nothing, it's just get illegible kind of thing. And then I found a chiro, and I went to this chiro, and she fixed my jaw, and that felt amazing. She did a little clicky thing and put my jaw back in, and then she asked me, you weren't born like this. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, your sternum is raised to a 45-degree angle, and 3 of your ribs, the cartilage is strained. I can't adjust your back, because at this stage I think your rib cage might open if I tried. And I was like, can you put that in writing, please? I think I'm going to follow up with a brutality case. And she was totally on board. And really supportive, really lovely. Wrote everything down really articulately, and I brought that back to my gram to bring into the case, the witness.
This is Morningside on the left.
Yeah, and so while I was there, though, the girl that owned the property told me to come back in a year's time under the full moon, August full moon, for Raging Girl Love, and so I did.